The sound of heels clicking against hardwood had become the soundtrack of my failing marriage. Every Friday night, like clockwork, Shannon would emerge from our bedroom transformed. Tight dress hugging curves she'd never let me touch anymore. Perfume applied like war paint, lipstick red as fresh blood. She'd check herself in the hallway mirror, practicing that smile she saved for strangers, and head out to whatever club was hosting her latest performance as a single woman. I'm Gray McClure, 43 years old, and I used to design industrial equipment for the mill before it closed. Now I freelance from my cluttered basement workshop, fixing what other people break, building solutions for problems nobody else wants to solve. Ironic, considering I couldn't fix the biggest problem in my own house. "Where are you going tonight?" I asked, though we both knew the answer. It was the Riptide Lounge again, that neon-lit dive where married women went to pretend they weren't. Shannon paused at the mirror, adjusting her earrings. "Out," she said, not bothering to look at me. "With the girls." The girls. Carrie Hoffman, her best friend since high school, who'd been divorced 3 times and treated marriage like a hobby you eventually outgrow. And Donna Walsh from Shannon's office, who spent her lunch breaks on dating apps and her evenings teaching other women how to keep their options open. "Shannon, please," I said, stepping closer. "Can we just talk? When's the last time we spent a Friday night together? When's the last time we acted like we were married?" She finally turned, and for a moment I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt, maybe, or just annoyance at being delayed. "Gray, I'm not having this conversation again." "What conversation? The one where I ask my wife to act like my wife? The one where you try to control me?" She grabbed her purse from the counter, checking her phone. 3 new messages. I didn't need to see the screen to know they weren't from Carrie or Donna. "I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to save us." Shannon laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Save us? Gray, there is no us. There hasn't been for months. I go out because that's where people actually want me around. That's where I feel alive instead of suffocated." The words hit like a physical blow. Suffocated? By what? By having a husband who loves you? By having a home, a life we built together? By having a husband who expects me to sit here every night watching Netflix and pretending I'm happy? She checked her phone again. "Look, I don't want to fight. I just want to go out and have fun. Remember fun, Gray? That thing we used to have before you turned into this bitter, clingy version of yourself?" I stared at her, really looked at her for the first time in weeks. The woman I'd married 8 years ago was still there, buried under layers of resentment and restlessness. But she was choosing to bury herself deeper every night. "Please," I said quietly, "just stay home tonight. We can order dinner, watch a movie, talk about things that matter. Remember when we used to do that? Remember when you used to like spending time with me?" Shannon's expression softened for just a second, and I thought maybe I'd gotten through to her. Then her phone buzzed again, and whatever moment we'd almost had evaporated. "I can't," she said, not meeting my eyes. "I already made plans." "With who?" "With friends." "What friends? Carrie, Donna, or with Brady?" Her face went pale, then flushed red. Brady Voss, her regional manager at the logistics company where she worked in HR. The name had been coming up more and more in her conversations. Always casual, always innocent. "Brady suggested this restaurant. Brady thought that movie was funny. Brady had such interesting stories from his business trips." "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked, but her voice had gone defensive. "It means I'm not stupid, Shannon. It means I see how you light up when you talk about him. It means I notice how you started caring about your appearance again right around the time he got transferred to your office. You're being paranoid." "Am I? Then show me your phone." "Excuse me?" "Show me your phone. Show me these innocent conversations with Brady. Show me that I'm just being a paranoid husband who doesn't trust his wife." Shannon clutched her purse tighter. "I don't have to show you anything. I'm not your property, Gray. I'm not some possession you get to monitor and control. I never said you were, but you are my wife. And wives don't usually hide their phones from their husbands unless they have something to hide." God, listen to yourself. This is exactly why I need to get out of here. You've turned into this suspicious, controlling person I don't even recognize. And you've turned into someone who treats her marriage like a prison sentence? We stood there staring at each other across the kitchen, 8 years of love and trust crumbling between us like a bridge with too much weight on it. I could see her making a choice, could watch her deciding which direction to jump. She chose the cliff. "You know what, Gray? You're right. I don't want to be here. I don't want to spend another Friday night pretending this is enough for me. I want to go out and dance and laugh and feel like a woman instead of a roommate with a joint bank account." "Then go," I said quietly. "What?" "Go. If that's what you want. If that's what makes you happy, then go. But don't lie to me about it. Don't pretend you're going out with the girls when we both know you're going to meet him." Shannon's jaw tightened. "Fine. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm going to meet someone who actually finds me interesting. Someone who doesn't make me feel guilty for wanting to have a life outside these four walls. And maybe I'll be here when you get back," I said. "Or maybe I won't." She paused at the door, her hand on the knob. For a moment, I thought she might turn around, might realize what she was about to throw away. Instead, she looked back at me with something that might have been pity. "Don't wait up," she said, and walked out into the night. I stood in the empty kitchen for a long time after she left, listening to the silence that had become our normal. The house felt bigger somehow, like her absence had created more space than her presence ever filled. I walked to the window and watched her taillights disappear down Maple Street, heading toward downtown and whatever waited for her there. That's when I made my decision. I'd always been good with technology. It came with the engineering background. When the mill closed and I started freelancing, I'd learned to adapt, to find new ways to solve problems. Surveillance wasn't exactly my field, but the principles were the same. Identify the problem, gather the data, implement the solution. My nephew Benny worked at the electronics store in town. 22 years old, computer science degree, and the kind of casual disregard for privacy laws that came with growing up in the digital age. He didn't ask too many questions when I called him Saturday morning. "Uncle Gray, you're up early." "Need a favor, Benny, the kind that stays between us." "Uh-oh, this sounds serious." "What's going on?" I told him about Shannon, about Brady, about the growing distance that had turned our marriage into a performance neither of us wanted to give anymore. Benny listened without judgment. His parents had divorced when he was 12, so he understood how these things went. "You want to clone her phone?" he said when I finished. It wasn't a question. "I want to know the truth. I want to see what I'm dealing with before I make any permanent decisions." "Gray, you know this is kind of illegal, right?" "So is adultery in some states. Besides, she's my wife. We share a phone plan. I pay the bills. Technically, I have as much right to that information as she does." Benny was quiet for a moment. "Okay, but if this goes south, I was never involved." "Understood." He came over that afternoon while Shannon was at the mall with Carrie, or so she'd said. It took him less than 20 minutes to install the monitoring software on her phone while she was in the shower. Simple, invisible, and completely undetectable unless you knew what to look for. "Everything she does will sync to this tablet," he explained, handing me a small device. "Texts, calls, photos, GPS location, everything. Are you sure you want to see this stuff, Uncle Gray? Sometimes ignorance really is bliss." I looked at the tablet, this window into my wife's secret life. "I'm sure." The first few hours were normal. Texts with Carrie about meeting for lunch, a call to her mother, shopping photos sent to Donna. Then, around 8 p.m., the messages started coming in from a contact listed as BV. "Hey, beautiful. Miss you already. Can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again?" Shannon's responses made my stomach turn. "Miss you too. Gray's working late tomorrow. Come over around 7? Last night was amazing. I forgot what it felt like to be wanted. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again." I set the tablet down and walked to the kitchen, needing something stronger than coffee. The bourbon burned, but not as much as reading my wife's sexting session with her boss. I poured another drink and went back to the tablet. There were photos, not explicit, but suggestive. Shannon in lingerie I'd never seen, poses that were clearly meant for someone else's eyes. Videos of her in Brady's car, laughing at something he'd said, her hand on his thigh. A recording of them in what looked like a hotel room, her voice breathy and excited as she talked about leaving me. "He's so boring, Brady. He just sits in that basement all day fixing other people's problems while his own life falls apart. I feel like I'm dying a slow death in that house." "You don't have to stay," Brady's voice, confident and smooth. "You could leave him. We could be together properly." "It's not that simple. The house, the finances, everything's complicated. Besides, he'd never see it coming. He still thinks we're just going through a rough patch." They laughed together, and I realized I was listening to my marriage being dissected by two people who saw me as nothing more than an inconvenience. I spent the weekend watching Shannon live her double life through the tablet. She'd leave the house claiming to run errands and end up at Brady's apartment. She'd say she was working late and instead be at romantic dinners with him. Every lie was documented, every betrayal time-stamped and geotagged. Monday night, she came home from girls' night, humming some song I didn't recognize. She was relaxed, happy in a way I hadn't seen her in months. I watched her from the living room as she hung up her coat and checked her reflection in the hallway mirror. "Good night?" I asked. Mm-hmm. She didn't elaborate, didn't even look at me, just headed upstairs to shower off whatever evidence she might be carrying. That's when I saw the text come through on the tablet. Thanks for an incredible night. You're amazing. Can't wait to do it again Thursday. Shannon's response came a few minutes later, probably from the bathroom. You make me feel alive again. I think I'm falling in love with you. I love you too. We'll figure this out. I promise. I turned off the tablet and sat in the dark for a long time. Love. She was in love with him. This wasn't just a midlife crisis or a moment of weakness. This was a full-blown affair with emotions and future plans and a complete disregard for the life we'd built together. The next morning, Shannon was getting ready for work when I made my move. I need to talk to you, I said, standing in the bedroom doorway. Can it wait? I'm already running late. It's about us, about where we go from here. She paused, mascara wand halfway to her eye. What do you mean? I mean, I know Shannon. I know about Brady. I know about the hotels and the lies and the plans you're making behind my back. Her face went white, then red, then white again. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't. Just don't. I have proof. I have everything. The question now is what we do about it. She set down the mascara and turned to face me fully. For a moment, I saw fear in her eyes. Then it hardened into defiance. So what if you do? What are you going to do about it, Gray? Make a scene? Embarrass yourself? Embarrass me? I'm going to give you a choice, I said calmly. You can end it with him, and we can try to work this out, or you can pack your things and leave. But I won't be the fool sitting at home while you live your fantasy life with someone else. Shannon stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her calculating, weighing her options. Finally, she picked up her purse and headed for the door. I need time to think, she said. How much time? I don't know. A few days, maybe a week. Take all the time you need, I said, but understand that when you walk out that door, you're making a choice, and choices have consequences. She paused at the top of the stairs. Is that a threat? It's a fact. After she left, I called in sick to work and spent the day in my workshop, building something I'd been designing in my head since Saturday night. Not a weapon, I wasn't that kind of man, but a solution. A way to take back some control in a situation that had spun completely out of my hands. By evening, I was ready. Shannon came home Thursday night later than usual, and I could smell Brady's cologne on her before she even made it to the kitchen. She'd stopped trying to hide it, stopped with the elaborate stories about where she'd been. We both knew the pretense was over. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and the tablet, watching the GPS dot that represented my wife's phone make its way from Brady's apartment complex to our house. The technology was fascinating, really. You could track someone's entire life through their digital footprint, where they went, who they called, what they bought, who they loved. We need to talk, she said, not bothering with hello. I figured. She sat down across from me, and I could see she'd been crying. Her makeup was smudged, her hair messed up in a way that suggested either passion or distress, maybe both. I've made my decision, she said. I'm listening. I want a divorce. The words hung in the air between us like smoke. I'd been expecting them, but hearing them still felt like a punch to the chest. 8 years of marriage, reduced to 4 words delivered across a kitchen table at 10:30 on a Thursday night. Okay, I said. She blinked, clearly expecting more of a reaction. Okay, that's it? What did you want me to say? Beg you to stay? Fight for a marriage you've already abandoned? I thought you'd be angry. I am angry. I'm furious, but I'm not surprised. I slid the tablet across the table. I've been watching this train wreck in real time for days. Shannon looked at the screen, saw her own text messages displayed there, and her face went pale. You've been spying on me. I've been gathering evidence. There's a difference. This is illegal. You can't just... Actually, I can. Joint phone plan, remember? I have legal access to any device on our account. Your boyfriend might want to invest in his own phone service if he's planning to continue this relationship. She pushed the tablet back toward me like it was contaminated. You're sick. This is sick. What's sick is a wife carrying on an affair for months while lying to her husband's face every single day. What's sick is planning your exit strategy with your lover while pretending to work on your marriage. What's sick is making me feel crazy for suspecting what you were actually doing. Shannon stood up and started pacing. I didn't plan for this to happen. I didn't wake up one day and decide to have an affair. But you decided to continue it. Every day, every lie, every time you chose him over me, those were all decisions. He makes me happy, Gray. For the first time in years, I feel like myself again. And who is that, exactly? Who is this real Shannon that can only exist by betraying everyone who loves her? She stopped pacing and turned to face me. Someone who deserves more than this, more than sitting in this house every night, watching you disappear into your workshop, feeling like a ghost in my own life. So you decided to become a ghost in someone else's life instead. Brady loves me. Brady loves the idea of you. The forbidden fruit, the married woman, the thrill of taking something that belongs to someone else. What happens when you're divorced and available, when you're just another single woman in his dating pool? You don't know him. I know enough. I know he's 38 years old and has never been married. I know he's had 3 serious relationships in the past 5 years, all with women who were either married or engaged when he met them. I know he drives a leased Mustang and lives in a rented apartment and has never owned anything more permanent than a gym membership. Shannon stared at me. How do you know all that? Because I'm not stupid, Shannon. When my wife starts having an affair, I make it my business to know who she's having it with. Brady Voss, regional manager, transferred here from Portland 6 months ago after some unspecified workplace incident. Lives at Riverside Apartments, Unit 247. Divorced parents, no siblings, college degree in business administration from a state school in Massachusetts. You investigated him. I protected myself, and you should ask yourself why a man his age with his track record is interested in married women. It's not because he values commitment. She sat back down, and I could see doubt creeping into her expression. He's not like that. He's exactly like that, but you'll figure it out eventually. The question is how much you're willing to lose in the process. What do you mean? I pulled out a manila folder I'd prepared earlier and set it on the table between us. Divorce papers. Already filled out, already notarized. All you have to do is sign. Shannon opened the folder and started reading. Her expression changed as she worked her way through the pages. This is Gray. This is everything. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts. Community property laws are pretty clear. 50-50 split of all marital assets. But the house will be sold. We'll split the proceeds. This is my home. It was our home. You chose to make it a way station between your real life and your secret life. Now it's just an asset to be divided. She kept reading, her face getting paler with each page. You're taking half my 401k. Community property. My car is in both our names. We'll sell it and split the money, or you can buy out my half. Gray, this is insane. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. No, we can't. You made your choice when you decided Brady was worth more than our marriage. Now you get to live with that choice. Shannon was crying now, real tears that smudged what was left of her makeup. Please don't do this. I made a mistake, but we can fix it. Some mistakes can't be fixed, Shannon. Some choices can't be undone. You didn't just have sex with another man. You built a relationship with him. You made plans with him. You told him you loved him while lying to me every single day. I never meant for it to go this far. But it did, and now we're here. She stared at the papers for a long time, occasionally wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Finally, she looked up at me. What if I refuse to sign? Then we'll do this the hard way. Contested divorce, lawyers, depositions, court hearings. I'll present all the evidence of your affair, and you'll lose any claim to spousal support. Your choice. You've really thought this through. I've had time to think. While you were busy planning your new life with Brady, I was planning mine without you. Shannon picked up the pen I'd placed next to the folder. Her hand was shaking. This isn't how I wanted things to end. Then you shouldn't have started something you couldn't finish. She signed the papers with quick, angry strokes, like she was trying to hurt the pen. When she finished, she threw it across the table at me. There. Are you happy now? I'm satisfied. What's the difference? Happy is what I thought I was when I married you. Satisfied is knowing I won't have to pretend anymore. Shannon stood up and headed for the stairs. I'll pack some things and stay at Carrie's tonight. Take your time. The house doesn't officially go on the market until next week. She paused at the bottom of the stairs. Gray? Yeah? I did love you. Once. I know, I said. That's what makes this so goddamn tragic. After she left, I sat in the quiet kitchen and finished my coffee. The signed divorce papers lay on the table like a death certificate for something that had been dying for months. I felt empty, but not sad. Relieved, but not happy. Mostly, I felt like I could finally stop pretending that everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. I was loading the dishwasher when my phone rang. The caller ID showed Brady's number. I'd memorized it from Shannon's text messages. Hello, Brady, I said. We need to talk. His voice was tight with anger. Do we? You know what you did. I signed divorce papers. Congratulations, by the way. You got what you wanted. This isn't over. Actually, it is. Shannon's free to be with whoever she wants now. Just remember, if she'll cheat with you, she'll cheat on you. I hung up before he could respond and turned off my phone. Whatever happened next was between Shannon and Brady. I was done being a player in their drama. But as it turned out, the drama was just getting started. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in October, exactly 3 months after Shannon signed the papers. She'd moved in with Brady 2 weeks after leaving our house, and according to the gossip network that ran through our small town like underground cables, they were already having problems. Carrie Hoffman was the one who told me, cornering me at the grocery store with the kind of malicious glee that some people reserve for delivering bad news. "Heard Shannon and Brady are on the rocks," she said, blocking my path to the checkout line with her cart. "Guess the honeymoon phase didn't last long." "Not my problem anymore," I said, trying to navigate around her. "She's been calling you, hasn't she? Donna said she saw your number on Shannon's phone when they had lunch last week." I had been ignoring Shannon's calls for 2 weeks. The voicemail started apologetic and gradually became desperate. She wanted to talk, to explain, to see if maybe we could work things out. The last message had been different, though. Angry, accusatory. "You ruined my life, Gray. You and your need for revenge. Brady says he can't trust me because of how our relationship started. He says if I cheated on you, I'll cheat on him. You poisoned him against me." I deleted the message without responding, just like all the others. "Gray!" Carrie was still talking. I said, "Aren't you going to do anything about it?" "About what?" "About Shannon. She's a mess. She lost her job. Apparently Brady reported their relationship to HR and they fired her for violating company policy. She's living in his apartment, but he won't put her name on the lease. She's basically trapped. She made her choices." God, you're cold. This is the woman you were married to for 8 years. This is the woman who destroyed our marriage for a man who won't even commit to a lease agreement. I'd say she's learning some valuable lessons about consequences. Carrie's expression hardened. "You know what? Shannon was right about you. You are bitter and controlling. No wonder she needed to find someone else. And yet here you are, telling me all about her problems like you expect me to solve them. Interesting." I pushed past her cart and headed for the checkout, but Carrie wasn't done. "She loved you, you know. Even at the end, she loved you." I turned back to her. "No, she didn't. She loved the security I provided and the life we'd built together. But she didn't love me enough to stay faithful, and she didn't love me enough to end things honestly. That's not love, Carrie. That's convenience." "So what? You're just going to let her suffer?" "I'm going to let her live with the consequences of her actions, just like I'm living with mine. The difference is, I can sleep at night." That weekend, I got a call from Donna Walsh. Shannon's former coworker had never liked me much, but she sounded genuinely concerned. "Gray, I think Shannon might be in trouble." "What kind of trouble?" "The serious kind. Brady's been... I don't know how to say this. He's been rough with her. Physically rough. She came to lunch yesterday with bruises on her arms." I felt my stomach drop. "Did she say he hit her?" "She said she fell. But Gray, I've seen women who fall, and I've seen women who get pushed. Shannon got pushed." I closed my eyes and rubbed my forehead. "What do you want me to do about it?" "Talk to her. She won't listen to me or Carrie, but she might listen to you." "Donna, we're divorced. Legally, officially, completely divorced. Her relationship problems are not my responsibility. She's still a human being who might be in danger." "Then call the police." "She won't press charges. She keeps saying it's her fault, that she provoked him." I was quiet for a long moment, thinking. "Where is she now?" "At his apartment, as far as I know. But Gray, be careful. Brady's been drinking a lot lately, and he blames you for everything that's gone wrong." After I hung up, I sat in my workshop staring at the tools on my bench. Part of me wanted to drive over to Brady's apartment and have a conversation with him about keeping his hands to himself. But another part of me, the part that had been hurt and betrayed and lied to for months, wanted to let Shannon figure out her own problems. In the end, I compromised. I called Shannon. She answered on the first ring. "Gray." "Donna called me. She's worried about you." "I'm fine." "Are you?" There was a long pause. It's complicated." "Are you safe?" Another pause. "I don't know." "Shannon, if he's hurting you, you need to leave. Whatever problems we had, whatever mistakes you made, nobody deserves to be abused." "He's not abusing me. He's just frustrated. The job situation, the gossip around town, having to deal with the fallout from our divorce, it's been hard on him." "Hard on him?" "Shannon, listen to yourself. You're making excuses for a man who puts his hands on you." "You don't understand. It's not that simple." "It's exactly that simple. Either he hits you or he doesn't. Either you're safe or you're not. I can't just leave, Gray. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have a job. I don't have money saved up. I don't have anything. You have friends. Do I? Carrie thinks I'm an idiot for leaving you. Donna thinks I'm an idiot for staying with Brady. Everyone in town thinks I'm just the slut who broke up her marriage for a younger man. What do you think? She was crying now, soft sobs that carried through the phone like an accusation. I think I ruined everything. I think I had a good life, and I threw it away for something that was never real. Shannon? He doesn't love me, Gray. I don't think he ever did. I think he just liked the idea of taking me away from you, and now that he has me, he doesn't know what to do with me. I wanted to feel vindicated, to feel like justice had been served. Instead, I just felt tired. So, what are you going to do? I don't know. I can't afford my own place, and I can't move back in with my parents. I'm stuck. You're not stuck. You're scared. There's a difference. Easy for you to say. You have the house, the business, the life we built together. I have nothing. You have your life. That's more than nothing. Is it? Sometimes I wonder. The desperation in her voice scared me more than Donna's concerns about bruises. Shannon, are you thinking about hurting yourself? No. Maybe. I don't know. Everything's just so fucked up, and I don't see how it gets better. I made a decision I knew I might regret. Pack a bag. I'm coming to get you. What? Pack whatever you need for a few days. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Gray, you can't. Brady will be back soon, and if he sees you, then he'll see me. Pack your bag, Shannon. We'll figure out the rest later. The drive to Brady's apartment complex gave me time to question my sanity. This was the woman who had betrayed me, lied to me, chosen another man over our marriage. The smart thing would be to let her handle her own problems. But the right thing, the human thing, was to help someone who was in trouble, regardless of our history. Brady's Mustang wasn't in the parking lot, which I took as a good sign. I climbed the stairs to Unit 247 and knocked on the door. Shannon opened it immediately, like she'd been waiting by the window. She looked terrible. Thin, pale, with dark circles under her eyes and what looked like finger-shaped bruises on her upper arm. You came, she said, and started crying again. I said I would. She had a small suitcase by the door, the same one she'd used for weekend trips when we were married. The sight of it made my chest tight with memories I didn't want to revisit. Is this everything? Everything that matters. We were walking toward the stairs when Brady's Mustang pulled into the parking lot. He got out of the car like he was getting ready for a fight, his face red with anger and something else. Fear, maybe, or desperation. What the fuck are you doing here? He shouted, striding toward us. Taking Shannon somewhere safe, I said calmly. She doesn't need to be safe from me. She needs to be safe from you and your mind games. The bruises on her arm suggest otherwise. Brady's face went even redder. That was an accident. She fell. Funny how often she seems to fall around you. This is none of your business. She's not your wife anymore. No, she's not. But she's still a human being, and human beings don't deserve to be used as punching bags. Brady stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the alcohol on his breath. You think you're some kind of hero? You think you're saving her? You're the one who destroyed her life. I think I'm preventing you from destroying what's left of it. She came to me, remember? She chose me over you. She said you were boring, that you couldn't satisfy her, that she needed a real man. And yet here we are, with her running away from the real man she chose. Brady's hands clenched into fists, and I could see him calculating whether he could take me in a fight. I was older, but I was also bigger, and I hadn't spent the afternoon drinking. Brady, please, Shannon said quietly. Just let me go. Go where? Back to him? You think he's going to take you back after what you did? I'm not taking her back, I said. I'm taking her away from you. Same thing. Not even close. Brady looked back and forth between us, and I could see him realizing that he'd lost. Whatever power he'd held over Shannon, whatever control he'd exercised, was evaporating in the parking lot of his apartment complex. Fine, he said finally. Take her. Take the lying, cheating bitch. See how long it takes before she ruins your life again. Already been ruined once, I said. I'm immune now. I put my hand on Shannon's back and guided her toward my truck. She was shaking, whether from fear or relief or just the cold October air. Brady stood in the parking lot watching us leave, and in my rearview mirror, he looked smaller somehow, diminished by his own anger. Where are we going? Shannon asked as we pulled out of the complex. Hotel for tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out something more permanent. Gray, I can't pay you back. I don't have any money. I'm not asking you to pay me back. Then why are you helping me? I thought about it for a moment, trying to find the right words. Because 8 years ago, I promised to love and protect you. I don't love you anymore, but I guess the protection part is harder to turn off. She was quiet for the rest of the drive, staring out the window at the town we'd both called home, the place where our marriage had lived and died. When we got to the hotel, I paid for a week in advance and handed her the key. Get some rest, I said. We'll talk tomorrow about what comes next. Gray? Yeah? Thank you. I nodded and walked back to my truck, leaving her standing in the parking lot with her suitcase and whatever was left of her life. It wasn't forgiveness, and it wasn't reconciliation. It was just one human being helping another, the way people used to do before everything got so complicated. But as I drove home to my empty house, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. 3 days later, Brady showed up at my house. I was in my workshop when I heard the pounding on the front door, the kind of aggressive knocking that announces trouble before you even see who's causing it. I climbed the stairs from the basement and looked through the peephole to see Brady Voss standing on my porch, swaying slightly in a way that suggested he'd been drinking. I opened the door, but left the chain lock engaged. What do you want, Brady? I want my girlfriend back. She's not your girlfriend anymore. She's not anyone's girlfriend. She's a woman trying to figure out how to rebuild her life after you spent 2 months tearing it down. You turned her against me. I didn't have to. You did that all by yourself when you started using her as a punching bag. Brady slammed his palm against the door frame. I never hit her. No, you just grabbed her hard enough to leave bruises and shoved her around when she didn't do what you wanted. Totally different thing. She told you that? She didn't have to. The evidence was written all over her arms. Brady stepped back from the door, running his hands through his hair. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Look, Gray, I know we got off on the wrong foot, but Shannon and I, we love each other. What we have is real. What you had was an affair that turned into a disaster. There's a difference. She's just confused right now. All the stress from the divorce, losing her job, the gossip around town. She's not thinking clearly. She's thinking more clearly than she has in months. I can make her happy. I can give her things you never could. I looked at this man who had helped destroy my marriage, who had convinced my wife to abandon 8 years of commitment for the promise of something better, and I felt nothing but pity. What things, Brady? A rented apartment? A leased car? A relationship built on lies and betrayal? You're 38 years old, and the most permanent thing in your life is your gym membership. At least I know how to make a woman feel wanted. By isolating her from her friends, getting her fired from her job, and making her financially dependent on you. That's not making her feel wanted. That's making her feel trapped. Brady's face was getting red again, the way it had in the parking lot. You don't know what you're talking about. I know that Shannon called me crying at 2 a.m. because she was afraid to go home to you. I know she flinched when I touched her arm to help her into my truck. I know she's been sleeping with the lights on because she's afraid of what might happen in the dark. That's not... I would never... But you did. Maybe you didn't mean to. Maybe you were drunk. Maybe you were frustrated. But you did it. And now she's afraid of you. Brady leaned against the porch railing like his legs wouldn't support him anymore. I love her. No, you don't. You love the idea of her, the fantasy of taking something that belonged to someone else, but you don't love Shannon, because if you did, you wouldn't have destroyed everything that made her who she was. So what now? You take her back? You forgive and forget and live happily ever after? Now she gets a chance to figure out who she is when she's not trying to be what someone else wants her to be. Maybe that includes me eventually, maybe it doesn't, but it definitely doesn't include you. Brady straightened up and looked at me through the gap in the door. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Shannon's staying at the extended stay on Route 9. She's got a job interview at the insurance office on Monday. She's moving on with her life, and you need to do the same. You can't keep me away from her. I don't have to. She's keeping you away from her. I'm just making sure she has the support she needs to stick with that decision. Brady stood on my porch for another minute, probably trying to think of something threatening or profound to say. Finally, he just walked back to his car and drove away, leaving the smell of burned rubber and desperation hanging in the air. I called Shannon to let her know about the visit. How did he seem? She asked. Drunk, desperate, angry, the usual combination. Do you think he'll try to see me? Probably, but you don't have to see him. You don't owe him a conversation or an explanation or closure or anything else. you can just be done. It feels weird being done, like there should be more to it. Sometimes the end of something is just the end. No dramatic confrontation, no final declarations of love or hate, just done. Shannon was quiet for a moment. Gray? Yeah? Do you think I'll ever be able to forgive myself for what I did to us? It was a question I'd been asking myself for months. I don't know, but I think you have to try, because the alternative is carrying that guilt around for the rest of your life. Do you forgive me? I thought about it, really thought about it. I'm working on it. Some days are better than others. That's more than I deserve. Maybe, but it's not about what you deserve. It's about what I need to do to move forward. 2 weeks later, Shannon got the job at the insurance office. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was honest, and it paid enough for her to rent a small apartment across town. She invited me to see it when she moved in, a gesture that felt both natural and strange. It's not much, she said, showing me around the one-bedroom unit with its generic furniture and blank walls. It's yours, I said. That's something. We sat on her new couch, drinking coffee from mismatched mugs, and for a moment it almost felt like old times. Then I remembered that old times were exactly what we were trying to move past. I heard Brady left town, she said. His company transferred him back to Portland. Apparently, there were some complaints about his management style. I can't believe I thought he was going to be my fresh start. We all make mistakes when we're trying to escape something. What were you trying to escape? I considered the question. The feeling that I wasn't enough, that our life together wasn't enough, that I wasn't the kind of man who could make his wife happy. You were enough, Gray. I was the one who wasn't. We were both enough. We just weren't enough for each other anymore, and neither of us knew how to fix that. Shannon set down her coffee and looked at me. Do you think we could have fixed it? If I hadn't had the affair, if we'd gone to counseling, if we'd tried harder? I don't know. Maybe. But we'll never know now, and there's no point in torturing ourselves with what-ifs. I miss you, she said quietly. I miss parts of us too, but I don't miss the lying and the fighting and the feeling like we were strangers living in the same house. So where does that leave us? I thought about it. Friends, maybe, eventually, when the hurt isn't so fresh and we can remember the good times without feeling like we're betraying ourselves. I'd like that. Me too. I finished my coffee and stood to leave. Shannon walked me to the door, and for a moment we stood there awkwardly, not sure how to say goodbye. Thank you, she said finally, for helping me get away from Brady, for not letting me destroy myself completely. Thank you for signing the divorce papers without a fight. It could have been a lot messier. She smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in months. We're pretty civilized for two people who completely destroyed each other's lives. We're learning. I drove home through the quiet streets of our small town, past the Riptide Lounge where this whole mess had started, past the extended stay where Shannon had spent 3 weeks rebuilding her courage, past the apartment complex where Brady had tried to turn love into control. My house felt different now, not empty, but peaceful. I'd bought new furniture, painted the bedroom, turned Shannon's old craft room into a proper office. It was still the same house, but it was becoming something new, something that belonged to just me. That night, I sat in my workshop building a jewelry box for my sister's birthday. It was detailed work that required patience and precision, the kind of project that used to frustrate me when Shannon was upstairs waiting for attention. Now I could take my time, could focus on getting every joint perfect, every surface smooth. I was sanding the lid when my phone buzzed with a text from Shannon. Thank you for today. It meant a lot to have you see the apartment, to know you don't hate me. I thought about how to respond, how to acknowledge what she'd said without opening doors that needed to stay closed. I don't hate you. I never did. I hated what we became, but I never hated you. Her response came a few minutes later. I hope someday you can remember the good times without them hurting. I hope the same for you. Good night, Gray. Good night, Shannon. I set the phone aside and went back to my sanding. Outside, the October wind rattled the windows and scattered leaves across the yard that was now entirely my responsibility to rake. In the morning, I'd finish the jewelry box, maybe start planning the kitchen renovation I'd been putting off for years. For the first time since this whole mess started, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be.